Hello, freedom seekers. Jeremy Chambers, Independence Acres Homestead. I know it's been a little while since we've put out a video, and I appreciate you guys joining us after this 3-week hiatus. It is the first Sunday of August, actually August 1st of 2021, and it has been a rough summer already here in southeastern Michigan. We've had some pretty beautiful weather. I'm not gonna lie, we've had great weather over the last few weeks. But, and there's the but, it has been a rough year for us personally here. We have had a lot of struggles here. Some of them might be categorized as failures here on Independence Acres. And I'm just gonna go over those with you guys today. You know, full transparency here. We do not pretend as if everything is all sunshine and roses and unicorn farts. So we have been struggling once again with some deaths in our rabbitry, really struggling with some bloat and some gastrointestinal issues. I don't think it's quite as tied to the feed. We might have had some issues with some bad hay or some mold. We're just not 100% sure. So we finally got things back under control again. Looks like we're on the upswing. The other thing that has been a total frustration and failure this year, okay, not total failure, but it sure feels like a failure compared to what my expectations were this year, is the garden. We've harvested some garlic and some onions here already, but I think it feels like the garden's just about done for us. I don't know if you remember or not last year, but it was the mid-August is when we were hit with that terrible hailstorm last year that completely decimated the garden and ruined our fall harvest. This year we're dealing with other issues, the biggest of which is deer. And we have our garden in a 4-foot perimeter fence, and we have never had issues with deer making it into the garden in the 11 years we've been on the property. Usually they stay out back past the pond, but this year we have been struggling royally with deer in the garden. And at first I thought we had some other issues going on. At first I thought we were struggling with tomato hornworms, because those little guys are voracious and they will absolutely destroy tomato plants. And so I thought for sure we were losing tomato plants because of the hornworm. So this is the kind of damage I was seeing, right? So leaves missing, but there was something else that was going on with the plants that clued me in that there was a bigger issue. And that's that every one of them has the tip of the plant cut off. Tip missing, tip missing, tip missing, tip missing, tip missing. I mean, every tomato plant. And the other thing is that it wasn't just the tomato plants. Our pepper plants, they are getting mowed down. All right, look at this. The entire top of the pepper plant, gone, just gone. As of right now, tomatoes, peppers are getting decimated by the deer. And now you want to ask me, how do I know this is deer? Well, number one, because of the type of damage it is, but number two, because we are getting these really deep prints all through the mulch over here in this area, and then especially right over here in this area. I think this is where they're jumping in. You can see these deep impressions in the ground. And so I know this is not a hornworm issue. I know this is not a groundhog issue. This is not a squirrel issue. We're straight up having deer coming in here, and they're even grazing off the tops of the jewelweed plants here. They're grazing off the tops of other weeds like lamb's quarter and let's see, what else are they eating? Yeah, lamb's quarter and the jewelweed. They're tearing the tops off the lamb's quarter and jewelweed. So one step I took was to put up a wireless camera out here. I'm gonna set it on motion detection, and so I'm hoping to be able to get some these deer on video jumping into our garden and eating things. Look over here at our cabbage. These cabbage are ready to harvest. As a matter of fact, if we don't get one of them out, it's going to rot away. But we're going to be buying a fermenting crock to harvest out our cabbage. And this is the other cabbage growing well, young cabbage growing well, tomatillos growing well, flowers, everything else is growing pretty well, but these zucchini are just, zucchini and yellow squash, they're just dead. However, we have had one success, and that is only if we can keep the deer out of them, and that is our cucumbers. Growing, flowering, we've got a couple fruit growing, but look at this. The deer are eating our cucumber plant. I just so frustrated with this right now. But there's a little bit of a silver lining to this cloud when it comes to our inability of the squash and zucchini to grow in the garden this year. Let's go head over to the compost pile and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So about 3 weeks ago, while Caleb was cleaning out the rabbit barn, he came to me and said, "Dad, there's something growing in the compost pile. Would you like me to just keep adding stuff on top and not worry about it, or do you want to come take a look at it?" I said, "Hey, let me come take a look at it." So I came out to take a look at what was in the compost pile, and I was met with this. This is probably the best looking squash plants in our property that we've ever grown. We got straight up poop squash growing here, and it's wonderful. These things have great flavor. We've got some yellow squash growing. We have some Cherokee tan pumpkins growing. We have a hybrid between the tromboncino and yellow squash that is growing. And let me see if you, can you see that? See that squash right there? Look at that, it's amazing. These guys are pretty much, these plants are pretty much growing right out of piles of rabbit manure. But I also want you guys to see something else. Look at these weeds. They are totally eaten up and decimated by the deer that are coming through here. So I'm really interested to see what we're going to catch on this camera tonight. So out of everything going on, this is probably my best success this year, and it wasn't even intentional. So my unintentional squash are growing the best. So also, I want to show you guys, we're having other deer damage to our apple trees. You can see everything below this level has been eaten off as far as leaves and small branches go in the apple tree. And last but not least, you guys know how passionate I am about sharing meat rabbits, right? And sharing the love of meat rabbits and raising them and processing them and eating them. You know how passionate I am about them. If you've watched our channel at all, you know that meat rabbits are a very important part of our homestead, and we think should be an important part of a lot of homesteads where people are striving for self-sufficiency. And was really excited today to have one of our neighbors come over. Megan, she has purchased rabbits from us in May, I believe it was April or May of last year, and she purchased some breeding stock from us, and she had her first litter ready for processing, and she was a little unsure about how to go about it, and she had originally scheduled with another mobile processor to come and take care of her rabbits, but that person fell through, and so she gave us a message and she said, "Can you help us?" And we said, "Of course we can help." So we had Megan come over with her litter of rabbits, set up our processing equipment, and we went ahead and just walked her through the entire process, showed her how we like to do it, and as always explained, there's always other options for dispatch and processing. While we like our way of dispatch and process, there's always other ways. So I always encourage everybody, find out what works best for you. There's a lot of things that we've adapted to be best for me because of some of my health issues that I've dealt with that make it easier to process one way or the other. So we just had a great time having Megan over here and sharing with her how we process. And by the time we finished out those 6 rabbits in that litter, she was able to do one just about completely by herself. And I think she's going to be 100% ready to do her next batch alone. And if not, we're just a couple miles away and we're willing, ready, and able to hop over and give her a hand. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you coming back after that hiatus and checking out what's going on here at Independence Acres. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any updates, because we will be having some rollout along with some product reviews, and we've got some mains to do on the 4-wheeler. Until next time, God bless.